Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of the Nerdhers. I'm Nick.
I'm Rich.
And today, we're going to have a conversation.
Yeah. Like we often do.
Yes. Our middle of the week fireside chats.
Gather around, kids.
Yes. Come sit on my lap if you want. Last week, if you go back, we had a conversation about our favorite movies of 2015.
Yes, we did.
Today we're going to have a conversation about our favorite video games.
Ooh.
So, what I wanted to start off by saying is, in preparation for thinking about what my favorite games were in 2015, I revisited, some, I looked at like IGN's lists, and I looked at the Game Informer Top 50, and I realized there are so many games that came out in 2015 that I wish that I had played. But I haven't.
Okay.
I played some games. I'm going to talk about those. But there's so much that came out, and we had conversations earlier in the show a couple weeks back, multiple weeks back, about how it seemed like most games, a lot of the really respected ones that came out last year, were massive games that all came out almost at the same time. So it was impossible to even consider doing it. But we're going to try and break down what some of our favorite games were for you. And with the knowledge, like we also said for the movies, there are things that we have missed. Yeah. And, there are things that we might get to eventually that we feel were better than the ones that we talked about today.
Yeah, and it's a little different with games. With movies, it's like, oh, okay, it came out, I can finally sit down for an hour and a half or 2 hours and play it. Oh, I haven't played Metal Gear yet. Let me just
play this
find
75-hour game. Yeah.
So there are definitely things that we haven't. So if you're like, oh, why didn't they put? Because I know, it's just I haven't played Metal Gear. I don't think you played Metal Gear. So don't go get angry because we don't have Metal Gear on our list. We haven't played it.
Yeah. There's only so many hours in the day.
So we're doing top 5, correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Kind of.
Kind of.
I don't know. Well, see, I was looking back and I don't know if I played through 5 games in their entirety that came out last year.
Well, that's okay. I have games on here that I haven't finished.
I don't even know that I played enough because I was revisiting games that came out years before. That was the problem.
Gotcha.
And early in the year, I was still very much playing games from 2014. And so I'm going to talk about the games that I played, but I know that you have a more extensive list.
Okay.
Because you do find more time to play games than I do. That's fair to say.
Yeah.
So we'll go through it. And
Okay.
I'm pretty sure that the games that I'm going to talk about, you're not going to talk about at all.
Okay.
So it's going to work out well.
So do you want to do it back and forth, or do you want to just
back and forth?
Okay. Same way to save our favorite to last.
Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. You want me to go first? Or you want to go first?
Go ahead.
Okay. So the first game I've got on my list. Now I did it again. I did it in alphabetical order, like I did my movies, because I wasn't going to rank these. I will tell you my favorite at the end of this.
Okay.
I will save my favorite for last. But so first game I have on here, Emily is Away. I talked about it a little bit on the show previously. It's a text-based coming-of-age story told through AIM, AOL Instant Messenger. So it's going from your senior year of college to your senior year of high school, and it's all about your relationship with this girl named Emily. And so each conversation is another year. So it starts off, it's your last year of high school, and you're figuring out the conversation. Do I like her? Do I want to be friends with her? Like, what's the right thing to say? What's this? What's that? And it brought back so many memories and just the nostalgia of the sounds of AIM. Going at all, you only talk to Emily. She's the only one you talk to in the game. But you can go through and see all the different profiles on the friends, and they've got this Blink-182 song lyric, and like this weird poem, and like all the icons. You had like the buddy icons and Eminem and this and that, and all these different things showing up in there. And it just brought back so many memories. And then talking to, you're talking to a bot, but you get, because it's basically, if you remember what bots are from AIM, you could say whatever and they would respond in some fashion. And essentially that's what you're doing. But you just get so lost in it, and nostalgia of it, and it brings up those same feelings of like talking to a girl like through AIM, and like, oh, she's typing, well, she deleted it, she's deleting it. Crap, what'd she say? What's going, what and then you get like a one-word response. You're like, what were you actually gonna say?
Yeah.
And like all those anxieties and like all those kinds of different things, and the end of it just takes, and I don't want to So you haven't played this, correct? Okay. So from what I've heard, there's multiple endings for it, but like it hits certain points at that end, like on an emotional level, that I was just kind of ended. I was like, wow.
That one definitely does sound very cool, very unique.
Yeah.
I know that, kind of similar stuff has, maybe not exactly like that, but it is like a growing trend in video games, and I feel like 2015 was a big year for stuff like that to come about. But very unique. It definitely sounds awesome. So check that one out. All right, so the first game that I'm going to talk about is I'm going to talk about a mobile game that I talked about. I'm just going to keep saying that I talked about a few times in the past few weeks, and that's Lara Croft Go.
Oh, cool.
I thought that it was definitely a very, probably in the last month and a half, I put more time into that game than I have most games in 2015. It's very fun. It's a puzzle game, which again is not typically something that I would get into. It's not like a Tomb Raider game, really, although you are Lara Croft and there are tombs that you are kind of raiding. But it makes use of the mobile device in a very unique way.
Okay.
And you haven't checked this out yet, right?
Correct, I have not.
I would definitely recommend it. It is a lot of fun. It's a good pick it up. I'm going to try and get through this one and just spend a few minutes, or sometimes you're like, I don't get what I have to do. I don't understand what I have to do. And then you try, and then you're like, oh God, I get what I have to do. Which is similar to The Witness.
Yeah.
But which we talked about earlier on in the week. But yeah, Lara Croft Go, available on iOS, Android, all that stuff. Check it out.
Cool. So my next game on here is Fallout 4. This was a game for me that I initially wasn't super into. Like I never disliked it, and this is my first Fallout game. The hype was there. I was really excited. Everyone was like, "Oh my God, more Fallout! Oh, you haven't played Fallout 3? Let's go play these." And I was like, "I'm not going to go play 2 300-hour games before I play another 300-hour game." And the more and more I dug into it, the more I really liked it. There's aspects of it I don't like. I don't think the building simulation stuff in it is good at all. It's just a pain in the ass, and that I worked for hours to get that. There's like a trophy to get like 100% happiness in your settlement, and that's the last time I've played that game since I tried to do that. Well, I got it, but since that happened, and like I love the vastness of it. I love that you can go in anywhere and do anything, and there's stuff everywhere to find, and secrets and hidden things. It's in Boston. There's the Cheers bar. There's like all kinds of stuff that they've put in there, kind of as little secrets. And I think what didn't click for me at first was the story. Like the story's you're trying to find your son. You're frozen. The game starts off before the bomb drops, and you're with your family. You go into the vault. You sort of wake up after the bomb drops, and you see the vault, and you see somebody steal your son. And then you get put back under, you're like in cryogenic sleep. And then wake up and everybody's gone, and your son's... So the point of the game is you finding your son. Pretty standard, pretty straightforward. And I was like, okay, well, like, the world's good, the story's not all that interesting. And then I was talking to Christian, who's been on Over a Beer, one of our other members, and we started swapping stories about it. Like, oh, well, I found this place and talked to this guy and did this and did that. And I was like, oh, I haven't seen that. Well, did you get to this part yet? Did you find this secret? And he's like, no, I've... And it clicked then for me that this was more about kind of making your own story and your own, tales and escapades and adventures and, oh, where are you going to go next? And where, like, the story itself is really secondary. It's more of kind of the story that you put into this.
Yeah, which is super impressive from a technical standpoint. But I think something that I've kind of started to realize is that I definitely appreciate a well-written story more than them just letting me kind of do what I want.
Sure.
And I understand why people like it the other way around. But for me, I just find so much more value, and it's why I'm so excited to play like Life is Strange. Or something like that. The episodic nature of some of the games that are coming out, or it's just, I'm a sucker for something that's well written, and experiencing that than the opposite.
Absolutely. I think if I didn't have somebody like Christian or people to talk to it about, it may not have really clicked for me in that way. I'd be like, okay, well, I'm going through it, and okay, well, I found like it's almost like, when you were kids and there's this secret code in the game. Did you find this or what? You're like swapping stories in the playground or whatever about games and stuff. It's kind of brought that back a little bit.
Yeah, no, I mean, I can definitely see why you would. To flash forward to a big game that was supposed to come out this year, No Man's Sky. I think it's kind of why I'm just not. I'm blown away by what it is, but I'm just not excited about it. But all right, so the next game that I'm going to talk about is a game that I definitely have put more money into than time.
Okay.
But every time that I do pick it up, it is a lot of fun, and that's Disney Infinity 3.0.
Oh, okay.
There's just something. I'm a huge Disney fan, huge Star Wars fan, Marvel fan, and it's all that in one. And there's something so cool about coming across something that makes the entire world Nightmare Before Christmas. And the music's going, and you're running through, and then you unlock another portal that has like all these different ships from all these different Disney things, and you can just keep trying it out. And you can race with those, and then you put something else on the thing, and then all of a sudden you're playing through basically the Clone Wars animated series, and then you do something else, and all of a sudden you're in a Marvel like battleground, and then you can go to your house and like build this mansion and design it however you want, and all of it works very easy, very simple, but again, it's so fun to jump into that world for me and play for a bit. And I can understand why people are in there like building Disneyland from scratch.
Yeah.
But it's kind of the same thing where it's like, I would appreciate a story that somehow weaved all these together more than a sandbox.
Yeah.
So it's a fun one. It's not my favorite game of the year. It's a game that I will continue playing. I'm excited to get the original trilogy Star Wars set, the upcoming like Marvel whatever set that's coming out, the Force Awakens set, but. It's fun. It's definitely, if you're into those things, you will be into this. I guarantee it. From everything that I've heard, it is a massive improvement on Disney Infinity 1.0, and then I've played some of 2.0, but I got it like a week before I got 3.0, so it was kind of like, well, I'm not going to spend too much time on that.
Yeah.
So, I like it a lot.
Cool. My next thing on my list is a little bit similar. Next on my list is LEGO Dimensions. Again, I have put too much money probably into this game. It is, if you don't know, it's another Toys to Life game similar to Disney Infinity, but with Legos instead. I remember when this game was announced, and I was kind of like, oh, it's Toys to Life, but it's Lego, so that's kind of cool. And I don't know why, but I don't know what I expected from the gameplay, but for some reason I didn't think, oh, it's going to be like the other Lego games, until I saw like a couple like Let's Plays online, and was like, oh, like the gameplay, it's just like a normal Lego game. Like I don't know what I was expecting.
I don't know, because that's just what I always thought it would be.
Like for some reason, it just never clicked with me. It was really weird. I was like, oh, that makes sense. So yeah, and I gotta get. And then, so it's that, and it's combining all these really great properties and stuff that kind of like Disney Infinity. Like, oh, you've got like Ghostbusters and Scooby Doo and Doctor Who and Back to the Future, and they brought voice actors back in, and like. Michael J. Fox and Christopher Lloyd are re-recording lines for this, and all these different like people and stuff coming together, and combining the Lego gameplay and Lego kind of humor and style with actually building Legos. What Legos are really about is being able to build them, and incorporating it into the game and making it a physical. And I've talked about it. You can watch whatever has to really get into it, and actually having to use those Legos and build it. And it just melding those two together really well. And you've got these moments kind of like Disney Infinity where, Batman's driving the Ecto-1 and you're running around like a Scooby-Doo like haunted theme park, like all in cell shaded as like, I don't know, Harley Quinn and stuff like, and
the sky's the limit.
Yeah.
Basically, if they have the rights to it. And it's not Star Wars, then
Maybe. I mean,
Well, yeah, we don't.
we don't know yet.
We don't know.
But yeah, I mean, if you have the money to invest in it, like it's definitely worth it. Even though, if you don't want to get that deep in it, you can, and you know want to 100% the game and finish it. You can still get complete the game and 100% it, trophy achievement wise, all that with just the starter pack. You don't need to buy everything to complete the game. But if you're a completionist, where I have to get all 500 gold bricks and this and that, and then yeah, you're gonna have to put a little bit of money into it.
A little bit.
Yeah, but I mean, and you know, different characters have different abilities, like I said before, and you can go and figure out what characters you should buy to spend the least amount of money possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I mean, you know that everything about it sounds appealing to
Oh,
me.
I know.
It's taken a lot of restraint not to get it, and there's been a couple times where I came real close, but it's just like, gotta choose my battles
Yeah.
from my wallet's perspective. Alright, so the next thing that I'm going to talk about is, I'm looking at it right now, there's a poster.
Interesting.
Star Wars Battlefront.
Okay.
It is another game that, because it was Star Wars, I was always going to get it.
Mhm.
I loved how it looked, and I played the beta, but I was still just not sure if it was something that I would love. And it's not something I love, but it's something that I really enjoy.
Okay.
It's not my favorite game of the year. I'll get to that with the next one. But there's something just so... The commercials for that game, I'm sure a lot of people saw them, was basically a guy envisioning that he was in Star Wars.
Was Anna Kendrick?
Well, there was that one too.
Okay.
There's the one where the guy's in his office and then he's in an X-Wing. And it really does make you feel like you're controlling Star Wars in a way that none of the Star Wars games before really did. I mean, there was something magical about, taking down an AT-AT in Shadows of the Empire, or playing, Rogue Leader.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just, it looks so real, and the sounds are all there, from the sound effects to the score. And then when you have the hero moments and you get to be Boba Fett or Luke or Han or Leia, it feels kind of magical, but it is still an online basically only game. And you jump on now and it's like there are people who have been playing it for hundreds of hours, and they're just so much better, and you're always going to get that. And it's not really how I like to play a game, and it doesn't have a campaign, and that's an issue. And I think that Battlefront 2 is going to be so much better, because they're going to include that stuff this time around. And they're going to build on it, and we're going to get that, and it's probably a year and a half away or so.
Yeah.
But it is, if you're a Star Wars fan, it's hard to deny that there's just something so fun about playing in it.
So there's been a lot of times where it's been on sale, I've looked at it and I'm kind of come out of Force Awakens and I'm like, I just want to buy everything Star Wars, I should just buy it. I should just break down and buy it, and I haven't done it yet. Just because it's a multiplayer only game, I don't do that very often. I don't know how much time I'm going to have to sit down and how much I'm really going to get out of it.
Right.
And it sounds kind of the way you've described it too. It sounds to me like the same way like Disney Infinity or Lego Dimensions is too. It's like the feeling of being a kid again and like just, oh man, Ron Hoth, and here comes Boba Fett, and then Darth Vader comes. Like it's just you kind of playing with Star Wars.
Yeah, it really is. It really is. So that's Star Wars Battlefront. What's your next game? My
next game. Now this was a game that was so close to being my number one game. It's just not... I had to pick, and I went with my next choice, but this one, right there. If I could pick two, this would have been up there.
Okay.
And that's Life is Strange.
Ooh.
You okay there?
I'm trying to figure out what your number one game is.
Oh, okay. This game, and I talked about it last week, the week before, it's just so incredible, and the story is so engrossing and so emotional, it's kind of what I said with The Last of Us when we talked about that last week. Is like when people talk about video games as an art form and things like that, and you can't tell a story in games, and you can't, this is a game that you point to and say no. Here's how you tell a story and how it's done well with video games. Here is why this is a medium worth preserving and worth taking seriously.
Yeah.
And I know you haven't started it yet, so I don't
No,
want
not
to.
yet.
I don't want to get too much into it. I'd still, when you finish it, I'd still like to have like a spoiler discussion on it.
Yeah, we should.
But I mean, I finished this like 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I'm still like thinking about it, listening to the soundtrack, and just going over it in my head and my choices and the story and these characters, and it's just so good. Like I feel like I'm almost bugging certain people. Like, oh, you go play it. Like, it's so good. Like, it's that. Oh, what are you listening? Oh, I'm just listening to the soundtrack for Life is Strange again. Really? Yeah. Have you played it yet? No. Okay, go play it. Like, stop. But again, if you want to get more in depth on my thoughts on that, I think it was last week that talked about that, and then we'll do a discussion once you've gotten through it.
Definitely. All right, cool. So, the game that I think I liked the most and that left the most impression on me and left me with that feeling of when I get home from work today, I got to go play that, or like I wish I wasn't at work today, I want to go play that.
I think I know what this is.
Maybe you do. I don't know. It's a game in some ways similar to Star Wars Battlefront, but in other ways not, because I can just play it completely on my own.
Yeah.
And that was The Taken King, Destiny. It was not a game that Destiny itself was not a game that I thought I would love, but picked it up cheap, and then The Taken King came out a couple months later, and it improved on everything in Destiny, like, tenfold, I think. The story was richer. It's a fun world to play in. It's what one game that I did play that did not make this list for a good reason, because I think it was a letdown, was Halo 5.
Okay.
It's kind of the game that I wish the Halo series has been, like 4 and 5, and it makes sense because this is Bungie and those were not.
Yeah.
But I really like the world, but I especially like the world within The Taken King. They've definitely expanded it into a good campaign.
Cool.
And it's a lot of fun to play. So I'm going to go with that. It's probably the richest experience, but I know that there are so many great games from last year that I just need to play.
Yeah.
And I'll be talking about those in the future weeks on this, but you have a game, and I know what it is, I figured it out, but go ahead and tell the people what it is.
So, my number one game of 2015 is Bloodborne. That, and it only beat out Life is Strange by a little bit, and that's only because I think of the gameplay, which I think is really good and really interesting, Life is Strange, but like how great the combat and stuff is in Bloodborne. And there is a story there, but it's not in your face. Like, it's as you kind of go, you just sort of are learning about this place, and you get little bits here and there, and you can kind of slowly start to sort of piece together the lore on your own. And just how many hours like I've spent on that, and fighting monsters and that, and this boss and that boss. Like, I remember coming to work and telling you, like, it was up till like 3 a.m. trying to kill this damn thing, and I still haven't done it, and how am I going to do it? Like, and that feeling of like triumph and adrenaline when you finally take down something that you've like. There were so many times in there where like I kill a boss, I can light the lantern, and like my hands are just shaking. Like my whole, like I'm just got like this adrenaline rush going that I don't remember the last time a game has ever done that to me. But yeah, that's it right there. That's my.
Yeah, I'm not
that's my game
surprised.
of the
I
year.
don't know why I didn't initially think of it. I just thought because you're on such a high of Life is Strange that it was going to be that, and I was like, what is it going to be? But of course it was Bloodborne. So, did you have any honorable mentions?
I do. I have a few on here. First one I'm going to quickly say, it didn't come out this year. It just got released on PS4 and Vita this year, and that's Shovel Knight. Special little shout out to that. They added some stuff for the PS4 Xbox One release. Still an amazing game. Loved playing it through the third and fourth time. Mad Max. Big shout out to Mad Max. Huge fan of that game. That was like if we had done a top 6, or we were that was going to be next on
I'm
my list.
excited to play that too. Another one sitting on my shelf.
I don't think it's enough.
And a bunch of other stuff.
I don't think it's enough credit. It came out the same day as Metal Gear Solid 5, and it just kind of got overshadowed. It's the car combat is some of the best car combat I've seen in a video game in years. And it really gives you that feeling of, you know, being like a badass, you know, Max. I mean, the hand-to-hand combat isn't amazing, but it's overall the game is really good. And if you're into collectibles and checking boxes and things like that, like it's definitely up there. Super Mario Maker on my list of honorable mentions. I really like it, but I haven't played it. I love the concept of it more than what my time with it was. Because I got into like, oh, let me look at the community, and I haven't played a lot of it since a lot of the updates and stuff. So I haven't seen the improvements they've done. But I know that they've been working on trying to get the shop better, or whatever it is, where you find all the user-made levels. But it really got to the point really quickly where every level was like, oh, don't move, hit right, and it would just, like a Rube Goldberg machine, would just kind of go through, and it would just be these like play themselves levels. And I was just like, this isn't fun. I mean, the Nintendo ones were really cool.
It's a fantastic idea. I'm gonna pick it up eventually. One thing that I want to mention while you're talking about Nintendo.
Sure.
I think it is the first time in a long time where my overall impression of Nintendo was kind of disappointment in 2015.
Yeah, I agree.
We're obviously huge Nintendo fans, but I just felt like even the games that I didn't play, like Mario Maker sounds really impressive. I personally was not. I wasn't into Splatoon.
See, that's another one I would do an honorable mention too. Because Splatoon, I don't like online multiplayer stuff, online shooters, and that brought that out of me. Like, I really had a lot of fun playing that online. Even though I wasn't playing with people that I knew, just going in and playing, like, it was just a lot of fun. And it was a really interesting idea, and I love the whole squid and paint concept and stuff like that. I really didn't get much into the campaign, but I'm curious to see kind of where they take it from here.
Yeah, I mean, we'll see. It has a good... But it just wasn't for me. But, like, those were the two big ones. But then it seemed like most of the other games that they had come out last year were, like, very mixed reviews to middling reviews. And it was just, like, I can't remember so many Nintendo games just being perceptually underwhelming.
But I felt the same thing, too, when I was going through my list. And I'm like,
year for them.
Where are my Nintendo games? I'm like, what came out? Like, Mario Maker's on there, Splatoon. And I'm like, well, Yoshi's Woolly World was fun, but it wasn't great. Kirby and the Rainbow Curse is fine. Nothing on 3DS really stood out to me, unless you count like Majora's Mask, which I don't want to count like a game from 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's...
You're right. It's weird. Did you have... I kind of talked about... I think Halo 5 was my biggest disappointment of the year. Did you have one just off the cusp?
No, not offhand. Like, there wasn't anything... Not really. There's one that I'm working through right now, or just started, that I'm not super thrilled with the way like I thought it would be, but I don't want to jump the gun on my opinion on that quite yet. So I'll wait until we talked about it very briefly off camera. So I don't really want to
remind me later.
Okay, so I don't really want to give that opinion quite yet, but nothing is jumping to mind where I was like, wow, I played that and I'm really mad that I spent my money on that.
Okay.
Oh no, I'll take that back. I finally sat down and started Destiny this year.
Oh.
I did not care for that at all.
Okay.
I played that before the Taken King, so I don't know what I don't know that. But when you finally started getting into it, and like you and a couple other people at work, I was like, oh, okay, I'll give it a shot. And I couldn't do it. It just did not click with me. I love that people are into it, but it just was not for me.
Cool.
Last. I have one more honorable mention. Yeah. Hatoful Boyfriend. Did you play this or not? Okay. I believe it was released in Japan like in 2011, 2012, but finally I think this year was its debut in the States. So I'll go ahead and I'll put it on my list. But if you don't know what Hatoful Boyfriend is, it is a dating simulator where you are the only girl at an all-male pigeon school. That's a game.
Interesting.
That is a game. You used to get it.
Yeah, I've heard plenty.
But it's really funny. It's really quirky. You can get multiple endings decided depending upon like who you want to like woo, and like the endings really take these bizarre turns like you wouldn't expect. You think, oh, like you're at a pigeon school and you're dating pigeons and you're a girl who lives in a cave and it's really weird and it's quirky, and then you get to some of these endings and they're just like these really depressing endings, and like one of them's like, oh, I can never be with you because I lost the love of my life and now I can never love again, and oh, I'm actually like and then like there's like a true, once you get all endings there's like a true ending, which is like an hour and a half long, like twisted murder mystery. Like it's bizarre. But if you're looking for something kind of quirky and out there, it's definitely.
And who's not?
Yeah, if you're looking to woo some pigeons,
Yeah.
there's a game.
All right.
There's a game for you.
Just the title. Number one game you're looking forward to this year, 2016.
Rise of the Tomb Raider for
Interesting.
PS4. Only because I can't remember what else is coming out this year.
Okay, I'm gonna go with Zelda. Assuming that it comes
Assuming it comes out this year.
Cool. Alright, so that is our favorite games of
Yep.
2015, and the rest of the year will be all about 2016 and about us catching up on some of those
Of course.
2015 games we didn't talk about. So you can stay tuned for more of that.
Mhm.
And the best way to follow us is on Twitter.
Yep.
I'm at Stonks.
I'm at Rich Belson, and the channel is on Twitter at OABeer_official. We're on Instagram now
We sure are.
at over_A_beer, and you can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/overbeer. You can also email us at overbeerofficial@gmail.com, and you can find us on YouTube by clicking on this video or searching on YouTube for Overbeer Nerd Herders. Like I always say, we don't have 100 subscribers yet. So, if you like these videos, please share them with your friends and subscribe to our channel. But that's going to wrap it up for today. So until next time, we will see you guys later.